Hi Leo, welcome to your September Astro-Tarot scope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. Although if you're only going to watch one of these, I do advise that it is your ascendant sign because it's likely to be the most accurate for you on that day-to-day level. With that said, if you are a continued subby, you know Ralphie loves you, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit that subscribe button. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to move these to the side. Those will be for your moons. This will be for the bulk of your read, but the first transit that I would like to look at for you over the course of September of 2023, Jupiter retrograde in your 10th house of Taurus is going to come into an exact trine with Mercury retrograde in your 2nd house of Virgo, right? So this is, Mercury the retrograde hawk, goes retrograde, you know, at least 3, sometimes 4 times a year, give or take. Now, so not particularly rare. Jupiter goes retrograde once a year for about 3 to 4 months. Again, not so rare. The fact that both of these planets are going retrograde in complementary elements, right? Taurus is an earth sign, Virgo is an earth sign, and they're connecting in an exact trine. That is a big deal, right? And so what this suggests is your 10th house of career, public status, your legacy out in the world, what you feel like you're actually here to do and how you present yourself to the public through that persona, you know, the vehicle through which you fulfill your legacy out in the world. The 2nd house of your money, your finances, your resources, and also your self-worth and esteem, like how you really feel about yourself. And if you've been with me long enough, you know I've said this many times. How you feel about yourself is directly linked to how much money or wealth you can generate for yourself. So here in this connection, retrograde energy is redoing, revising, re-editing, relaunching, you know, renegotiating, all of those backtracking kind of energies, researching, you know, redefining, redesigning, all of that stuff. So for you, this is happening across a very pivotal energy. So you're rethinking your career and your status here for sure, but it looks like a lot of you might be changing your prices if you've got your own business. I think this is going to see a lot of you basing things on fun or knowledge or expertise, right? So this is going to see you kind of saying, well, you know what, I've put this amount of time, effort and energy into this, and so therefore I need to value what I'm offering at this, this and this. It might be that you start to take yourself more seriously and believe more in your own ideas, your ability to reach the world in some way, shape or form, and to potentially make more money. Venus is changing how you value yourself. She's in that 1st house of Leo. Venus has been there now at this point for, you know, since June, and will be there until the, you know, the start of October. So this is a big deal, right? She's really been helping you redefine and renegotiate your sense of self, your sense of self-worth. This has been a big deal for a lot of you. So, but that combination of these 2 planets in your 10th and 2nd houses, right? So your 2nd house of how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem, your, you know, the way that you truly value yourself. Mercury is helping you redefine that and maybe even represent that to the world in some way, shape or form through the opportunities and the way that you amplify or experience or bring together your career and your value and your worth and what you're bringing to the world. So really big stuff, and especially because Venus rules the sign of Taurus, so she's the host of that Jupiter retrograde in Taurus at the moment, and she's in your 1st house. So as the ruler of your 5th and 8th houses, Jupiter is helping you believe more in your services, in your products, more than ever, and also maybe potentially magnetizing or bringing more opportunities through the career for you to make more money through things that you enjoy, that feel like they excite you, or maybe even help you release or reconnect to things that are fun, exciting, and possibly even, you know, that feel like exhilarating to you. Mercury is getting you to revisit your connection and your understanding to money, to to rewrite your financial history and therefore to change your financial destiny moving forward. This is really big stuff for a lot of us. What settles in here for a lot of you is there's a new state of being around all of the things that feel natural and unnatural about money, about who you appear to be out there in the world. This is about you starting to consider what you actually want, what you want to leave behind, and more importantly, where it is that your sense of self or the world come together. So, you know, no pressure. All right, so for this, we have the Nine of Pentacles. It's going to be hard, glorious, but beautiful work that really helps you enjoy not only the finer things in life, but it helps you understand that while you work hard, you also need to play hard. You've got this with the Three of Swords, so this is you letting go of the idea that it has to be hard. And the Four of Pentacles, which suggests that this is you now starting to release certain goals that maybe have now become restrictive and really lean into goals or ideas or ideals for yourself that actually are supportive of who you envision yourself to be now and where it is that you truly want to be in your future. On a practical level, this is going to see a lot of you get really serious about your savings, about your long-term future finances, and potentially for some of you, this could be you either paying off a debt or releasing some kind of burden, or maybe thinking twice about a financial burden in some way, shape or form and saying, okay, how do I redefine this for myself? Whew, all right, so across the same energies, the same houses, the second house and the 10th house, the sun is going to come into, so the sun will be in Virgo at this point, and the sun is going to come into a trine with Jupiter retrograde. So Jupiter and the sun coming together in a trine is called, it's like one of the luckiest aspects in all of astrology. This for you is happening in two amazing houses, right? In your second house of money, finances and resources. So the sun's putting a spotlight there for you. That Jupiter in the 10th house is really getting you to drill down on what is important to you in the career. How do you draw lightness and happiness and abundance through the career and through your social status? It's also potentially bringing opportunities through big wigs, higher ups, and because it's retrograde, that Jupiter is bringing come on brain, it's bringing opportunities from the past that maybe you missed, maybe at the time you weren't able to kind of get into. It's almost like you're kind of looking at these things now thinking, you know what, I wasn't able to do that before, but now I've got the time, the space, the money, the freedom, whatever else it might be. This is highlighting financial matters again, but it's helping you get a deeper understanding of your self-worth and value. You are the sun, right? The sun is your ruling luminary. And so when it's in that second house, you are looking at what you really ascribe value to. You're paying attention to your money in a really powerful way. You're done with the internal fixing up, right? Because Venus is direct at this point. Now you can start to shine your newfound illumination out into the world. Mercury retrograde in that sign is, you know, still there in the background, which means that it's also hosting the sun in its own sign where Mercury is exalted. So even though it's retrograde, this is really highlighting and illuminating something to do with money, finances and resources, the rate of transactions, the value of exchange that's happening between you and other people, whether this is for services, products, whether it's for, you know, just plain old knowledge or things that you bring to the party or the table. This means that you're able to clearly communicate your current and past needs and also maybe redefine what security and financial freedom actually mean to you and therefore go after them in a much more powerful way. You're rethinking a goal here in some way, shape or form, and you are, you know, yeah, I mean, you're definitely rethinking a goal, but it's also helping you understand yourself and your material experience as well. In a harmonious connection to that Jupiter in the 10th house, this could be deciding that you're ready to present to the world, like what you're ready to present to the world in your career sector. Finally, whatever this is for you, Jupiter ruling your 5th and your 8th house, it does have a lucrative slant to it, and it feels like it enhances your financial outlook and possibly your blessings. Finally, right? Okay, so for this, you have the Death card. So the end of one way of being when it comes to your financial past, history, etc. The Four of Wands, beautiful. Okay, and the Emperor, right? So here's where this gets really interesting with my little tarot geek brain. So you've got the Four of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. 2 4s represents insomnia, right? I don't feel like this is that. The Emperor is also the number 4. 3 4s represents a subject for reflection. Now, a little known fact about the Emperor and the Death card, these two actually represent 2 halves of a whole, if you like, right? Because the Death card is Scorpio, the Death card is number 13. 1 and 3 gives you 4. So technically, we have 4 4s here, and 4 4s represents a journey at hand. So for some of you, this could be a journey that comes up very much by surprise that you're not expecting. That's one way this could show up. Another way that this could show up is this is a journey that you embark on in an educational sense, where you're gathering new knowledge, new wisdom, potentially working with somebody who is a financial advisor, a business advisor, a coach, a teacher, a mentor of some sort. And this person is really helping you redefine and renegotiate what it actually means to you to be abundant, right? What it means to you to be successful out in the world, or what it means for you to take your work, your job to another level. Now, here's where this gets even more interesting with another layer. Mercury doesn't just rule your 2nd house of finances and resources, it also rules your 11th house of benefactors. The Sun represents authority figures, and it's in that same space for you. And Mercury ruling your 11th house, which is Gemini ruled, be in that energy of benefactors in that 2nd house as well. There's something here about some bigwig, some higher up seeing your worth, your value, and potentially offering you some kind of opportunity or position that really could potentially make your heart sing. Just to put that out there. All right, so on the 16th of the month, Venus is going to come into its last square with Jupiter. Remember, a square is an energy of challenge or conflict. It creates enough friction in your life to piss you off enough to say, I'm not having this experience again, so you get proactive about it and you do something about it. That Jupiter retrograde is doing a lot this month, right? So Venus has been in your 1st house for some time at this point. She's finally finished with her retrograde. And obviously with it, you now have a much clearer sense of and stronger sense of self. But you also have a clearer understanding of your worth, your value, how you really show up, and what you bring to the table, what you offer to the world in ways that nobody else can, you know, beyond your uniqueness. It's provided you with powerful insights and huge realizations about who you are, not just to others, but also who you are to yourself, especially when it comes to your work and your career. Now, as the ruler of your 5th and 8th house, remember that Jupiter could also have been potentially brings a romance. It might be a focus for you in some way, shape or form. Venus is relationships as well. So this could be a relationship. It could be something that's come up quite quickly or potentially quite recently that you're kind of like, oh, I don't really know how to navigate this because I've got so many other things going on at the same time. You know, for some of you as well, this may have shown up, and I know it did for me, 100%. Like when the first Venus square Jupiter was the 11th of June, right? So look back to then. What was happening for you? What was shaping up? What was the challenge at the time? What felt like an urgency that couldn't be ignored around the themes that I've mentioned here? Because this is going to give you that like, oh, okay. Like for me personally, when I say I went on a creative binge, like I go through spats and bouts of creativity like a crazy mad scientist at times. It's what I do. And since 2018, I've had this thing that I call my Hermione mode. It's where I just go into like this really weird, deep creative space and just like really start churning out ideas left and right. But this time round, ooh, chow, it was like off the charts to the point where some days I was at my PC like just for like 10 hours straight, just constantly creating and researching and just putting. It's been amazing, but man, it was overpowering at points. And so this culminating on the 11th of June, Venus and Jupiter came into a square. They were both direct. On the 21st of August, Venus and Jupiter came into a square, but Venus was retrograde. This time round on the 16th of September, Jupiter will be retrograde. So we've had literally all aspects of this, and this is wrapping it all up. So it's been amazing, but also very tiring and very busy. So this might help you sort of, it did help me set a lot of things into motion for the future. I'm hoping it did the same for you, but it will be interesting to see how this shapes up for everybody. So I want to hear about it in the comments. Let me know. For this, you have the 5 of Cups, you got the 2 of Wands, and you've got the 6 of Wands. So are you willing to let go of the good in order to go for the great? I typified this when I did the Venus webinar with Denise Matthew. I typified this transit, this square between Venus and Jupiter, as too much of a good thing, right? That, like I said, that creative binge was wonderful, but man, it was tiring. So on this side of it, it's almost like that 5 of Wands is saying, if you're willing to let go of what has been and what you thought it was supposed to be or what it should be, and leave it open, especially to whoever this coach, mentor, guru, friend, support, helper, teacher, mentor, etc. comes in and says, actually, you know what, if we can tweak this, here's where your results are really going to start to escalate or skyrocket. And it's like the message is really clear. Can you give up the good in order to go for the great? Because if you do, that's where your strongest path and potentially your most lucrative path lie as well. So that square between the 1st house and the 10th house of Venus in the 1st, Jupiter retrograde in the 10th, it's about what you want for yourself or what you think it should be versus what someone else is trying to show you it can be. All right, so chances, I mean, it's up to you, right, ultimately. Now, the 4th and final transit that I want to look at for this month is Mars is going to oppose Chiron. So Mars is going to be in your 3rd house of communications, contracts, commercial sales, interactions, communications, conversations, websites, siblings, neighbors, your local environment, all of that. It's a very busy house, and Mars coming into the 3rd house brings a lot of excitement and a lot of busyness to work, business, and your daily life, and, you know, potentially even some irritation around neighbors, siblings, or cousins, etc. Now, it's opposing Chiron. Chiron is in the sign of Aries. Now, there's a few reasons that this is a big deal. I'm going to go into them, right? Now, this for you is happening across your 3rd and 9th house axis. This is your educational axis, right? 3rd house is your, you know, the skills that you have, things that you do every day that are commonplace to you, and how you gather and sift through information. The 9th house is how you take that to a whole new level. And it's also, the 9th house is a lot more spiritual. It's travel, it's foreign international affairs, visas, etc. So if you're applying for anything like that, this might not be the best time to do it. Now, this day in general is packed with a lot of powerful energy, but it is a powerful one because Chiron represents a wound of some sort. And so when it's in that, you know, when it's in the sign of Aries, Aries is the sign of the self. Chiron is there showing us what it has cost us to be ourselves in a specific area of our lives, right? Now, the challenge is that it shows you the wound or the vulnerability. The healing also, the seed of the healing also comes from that Chiron energy once you learn to sort of transcend that energy or that existence. Because Chiron is in Aries and Mars rules the sign of Aries, the action that you take, Mars, in that 3rd house is showing you how you access the healing from that Chiron and turn this to your advantage. Mars is in its full in the sign of Libra, so it doesn't necessarily do good work there. So there's potential that we're all feeling a bit more frustrated, potentially even a little bit more annoyed, because the way forward isn't so direct. It's, you know, Libra does this, Mars does that. You know, Libra's Venusian, Mars, you know, and therefore Chiron is expressing in a Martian way. So there's a very sort of opposing energies, quite literally. So it's a vulnerable point for us in a specific area that is highlighting to us what it's cost us to be ourselves. Now, Mars in the 3rd house is showing you where it's okay and sometimes vital to stand up for yourself, even if that means chewing someone out or cussing someone out, as I like to say. Chiron in your 9th house of Aries is showing you where your beliefs, your belief systems, your belief structures have either held you back, held you down, or limited you in some way. And so in order to mend or heal the rift in your psyche, and the ninth house literally represents healing, that ninth house Chiron is basically saying Mars in your third is suggesting that by speaking up, by writing things down, by communicating, and maybe even something physical that you genuinely enjoy can provide the healing that you need. So this could be through some kind of talk therapy. It could be through learning something that you've always wanted to learn. It could be, you know, I love cycling, right? As for those of you that know me, if you've been with me long enough, you know I fucking love a spin class. That is me. I am like in my element, whether it's on a bike out there, you know, on the road, or going through hills and all the rest of it, or it's on the spin bike. That is me. I love that. And that repetition, that, you know, repetitious motion is so good for you because it's repetitive. It becomes meditative, and when that starts to happen, it's like, you know, knitting, or, you know, in a rocking chair, or self-soothing when you rub your arm. All of those kinds of repetitive energies, because the third house is Geminian or Geminian, and so therefore it's good with hands or the extremities, right? If you do something that's monotonous like that, it could unspool something in your mind or your higher belief to help you see it from a distance or a perspective, the ninth house, seeing it as a much more philosophical energy and saying, wow, you know what, this belief system has been inherited from my family, or it's been imposed on me from my history, or whatever it might be, and now I understand this is holding me back. So whether it's with parents or grandparents, whether it's with siblings or cousins, this could be that you end up speaking on something, you know, really kind of resolute, where you're just like, no, I'm not putting up with this anymore. And by doing so, it really allows you to transcend a certain experience. I say grandparents because the ninth house is grandparents. I say siblings and neighbors and cousins because the third house is those things, right? So long story to go into why and how, but trust me for that. Now, that being said, it could just as easily be that you find something physical to do with your hands or your extremities, like I said, that has that repetitive movement, and movement as medicine sort of energy about it. So use it, right? For this, you've got the King of Wands. So in some way, shape or form, you show up in your own reading, because this is usually a fire sign male, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, but fire sign person, with the Page of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. This is really showing you what you have to let go of. This is around business, it's around finance, it's around wealth, it's around prosperity, and it's also showing you that it's okay for you to succeed visibly, and more importantly, the way that you are able to succeed or to allow yourself to be more visible is by accepting these things, working through them, and then just kind of letting them go. All right, so gosh, like really big stuff. I know this is a really long video at this point, but there's a lot to say here, quite frankly. All right, so for your moons, the Virgo new moon, there's your card for the Virgo new moon. The Virgo new moon is happening in your second house of money, finances and resources. There's a fresh start there. There's something new happening in that space for you. There's a new outlook happening. The gate 20 and the now literally represents it basically speaks to coming into the moment and understanding that the present, the now, this moment in time is where the power truly is. And if you use this new moon in that way, not only can you rewrite a brand new financial destiny for yourself, but you can see yourself and present yourself to the world in a way that feels so much more vital and powerful and self-directed than it probably has ever before. What it requires, ninth house, is a true sense of spirit, right? So powerful stuff. And then, as if that wasn't enough, the full moon in the sign of Aries for you is happening in the sign, or in the ninth house. Higher beliefs, wisdom, foreign cultures and connections. You know, it's higher education as well, university, or where you specialize in something, or you study something at a much higher level. That ninth house is also the house of God. It's how you connect to the cosmos and the universe. And Chiron, believe it or not, once you get past the wound, can actually become a huge source of personal power. I personally love ninth house transits. I always have. just because they tend to do really good things for me. I don't know if anybody else experiences them that way, but they definitely do for me. My favourite transits are the full moon in the 9th, moon in the 9th in general, to be fair, I love. Big fan of Mars in the 9th, love that. I always have amazing results with everything that I do when that transit in particular happens. So this gate 34 and power card is basically, it's not just about tapping into your personal power, it's about going beyond what you believe or perceive your power to be and finding a new source, or the true unique source of your personal power. So, you know, even though it's not the 8th house and we're talking about power here, this is really you finding a new connection to the cosmos, or maybe even finding a new belief system or structure, because it's a full moon. So it's highlighting something in a really big, powerful way. And because Chiron is in that 9th house for you, that is where the healing takes place. And once you own the healing, that's how you truly come into your own power. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic month. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.